Hi, Mark.
Hello.
I want you and I to be so very special together.
Okay.
It's Heads Abuse. It's your podcast.
Back from the grave
Back from
on
the. It's not back from
pre-Halloween.
the. It's becoming the podcast version of Dave.
It's a pretty good analogy. Yeah.
Yeah. It is the 27th of October, 2018. I'm your host, Ali Hay, and being very special with me is Mark Gibson.
Yep. We're
Mark,
written by George R. Martin, which is why we're so long in putting these things out. That's why.
yeah, it's a development hell. We're the Chick Nipkin forever of podcasts. Yeah, Mark, I'm just going to dive right into it. We went and saw Mandy.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
That was a thing.
That was a
Have
thing.
you parsed that yet?
No.
What are your thoughts? I really enjoyed
No.
it. I'm still 100% on that movie.
I tried to explain it to my coworkers, and I was like, I can't explain it to you. It's just this crazy thing.
It's a revenge movie. It's
Yeah.
a crazy revenge movie.
With the title card halfway through.
Yeah, latest title card I've ever seen. Then
he steps out of the Animus, and you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, Michael Fassbender. Did you enjoy Mandy?
I thought there were some extremely painful shots at the beginning. Very
Yeah, you didn't like the slow stuff as much as I did.
Oh, it was really slow though. It wasn't just. It was just like
it was
long shots of people staring.
Yeah, but I really like that shit. No, I thought a lot of those. I feel that it goes at some points too pretentious for its own good. For anyone not initiated, just Google Mandy trailer. It's Nicolas Cage's. I'm not going to say latest movie. He's prolific. He might have 8 more since then.
Well, he's in the Enter the Spider-Verse thing. So.
Oh God, is he?
Yeah, he is Spider-Man Noir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds something I'd be on board with. That's a great cast. When is that
out? December.
Is that a movie or is it a...
Yeah, no, that is a cinematic release movie.
Yeah. They do their X-Men, but they're not big on doing their Spider-Man movies. Animated, obviously. They doing their Spider-Man movies. Oh, Sony. Yeah, it's about Mandy's Nicolas Cage's latest
thing.
Cult movie.
Yes.
I mean, he has so many of them at this point.
It's a cult movie and is a movie about cults.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's super stylized. Lots of neon. Lots and lots and lots of neon. It's a movie of two halves, as Donnie kept saying.
Lots of synth. There's lots of synth in there.
Lots of synth in there. Yeah, it's a movie of two halves. The first half is very, Mark would say, just slow. And I would say slow.
I would say slow.
No, I really like the scene in the bar and each other and like stuff like that. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. Probably could have trimmed a wee bit off, but overall I didn't think it hurt it too much. And it's a super violent movie.
Yes, especially after he crafts his fucking battle axe. That's
the movie changes when the macaroni goblin appears on screen.
Cheddar Goblin.
Cheddar Goblin, of course. But that is the absolute
and he just stops
turning point of the movie
and watches the commercial, and
you're like, like it's but it's
and he says something after, and I can't remember what he said. No, that was after. He says something at the very end of the commercial. I can't remember what it is.
Then there's the vodka bathroom scene.
There is. which is again, as I said to you after we left the movie, is like, why is there? Is that where you keep your vodka?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yep. You keep hitching something fun. Like that was a good 10, 15 seconds there.
That's odd. Hopefully that doesn't keep happening.
I don't know if that's going out in the stream, but it's certainly happening to me.
Well, fingers crossed. Yeah, everyone keeps vodka in their bathroom, don't you?
No.
What's wrong with you?
No.
That's a great scene. No one else could do that scene. What? Am I wrong?
But then it's a very it's clearly a we wrote this scene for Nicolas Cage.
I think you could write that scene for anyone. It's just what performance do you get out of it?
Yeah.
And then it's just super violent after that. It's just super violent. Comically at points.
There's a fucking cocaine mountain.
Yep. Yeah. That's so fucking good. Yeah, so watch the trailer for Mandy and then go see Mandy. You'll either adore it or you'll hate it. There's no in between. So how are you, Mark?
I'm alright.
I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yep. No. I must admit, I thought you were going to start off with the baseball thing from last night.
Yeah, so last night, the Game 3 of the World Series, the game lasted 7 hours. It started at 1, ended at 8:30.
Our time?
Yeah, our time.
Oh, Jesus.
So I've not had a lot of sleep.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It was the final score was 3-2. It wasn't yeah, it was 18 innings of baseball. Hell of a game though. Hell of a game. 18 innings. And the guy that hit the walk-off home run played all 18. And then they're playing again tonight.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how that's going to happen. They both used like 9 pitchers each because you can only go into. I suppose they've got plenty of people left. You can only go into the playoffs with a certain number of players, which is it's like 15 less than your regular season team.
Just pulling the janitors and stuff, it'd be fine.
Like that guy that yelled in Mourinho's face.
Yep. Why not?
Yeah. So how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I finished Luke Cage season 2 last week.
No,
nope.
You finished Luke Cage?
No, finished Luke Cage season 2, and then like literally 10 minutes before the end of the last episode, I got a message from Darren on Slack saying, "By the way, they cancelled Luke Cage." Like, fuck.
Daredevil hasn't been cancelled yet.
Yeah.
No, I'm aware. I said yeah.
Luke Cage season 2 is really fucking good. Really fucking good. And they set that up for season 3, and you're like, oh man, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be really fucking intriguing where they're taking it, and then 10 minutes before the fucking end of the episode.
Man. It's crazy.
Like the villains are much better, the characters are much better. Like
Hey, Cottonmouth was a fucking excellent villain, and so was his cousin, Maria. Is that her name?
Mariah.
Mariah.
Mariah Stokes.
Mariah Stokes.
So
yeah.
A more central role in season 2, and so does Shades from the last season.
Oh yeah, Shades is excellent. Shades
they introduced a new villain called Bushmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Who is of Caribbean descent, and there's like a whole turf war going on, and he is like more powerful than Luke Cage, and they do a really good job of like villain against hero sort of thing, and Luke's dealing with like having to reconcile with his father and all that stuff, and it's a really good fucking second season given how far that went off the rails in season 1.
Man, just cut the last 3 episodes of that first.
Oh, you're hitching again.
Off and possibly the best season of Marvel Netflix.
So yeah, I'm familiar with the opinion. Having not seen Daredevil season 2 yet, season 3 yet. Luke Cage season 2 is by far my favorite of the Marvel stuff.
I really like Jessica Jones season 1.
I think season 2 is a better season. But yeah, sometimes Luke Cage season 2 is so much like The Wire, it hurts, and it's amazing, and it's you should watch that, even if they aren't going to get a 3rd season out of it.
Oh no, I definitely will.
Started an Iron Fist as well, but
I won't watch Iron Fist.
Yeah, I just want to complete the set before I move on to Daredevil.
I don't see a lot of major Iron Fists in Daredevil.
So, well, it depends what happens with the Disney streaming stuff, whether that stuff migrates over there, or whether or not they bring in Daughters of the Dragon or something, or whether they start another Netflix show. I don't know. They're talking about doing another Defenders without the original Defenders cast, so I don't know what they'll do. That could potentially be the Daughters of the Dragon stuff.
But... to me, it just seems like Disney's shitting all over a good thing.
Yeah. Like, well, apparently, Disney was very insistent on a season 3 for Luke Cage and Iron Fist, but it was Netflix that pulled the plug. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And I'm even more confused than ever.
Yep. So I don't know. I don't know what happened with that, but aside from that, I've been knee deep in Brandon Sanderson, Cosmere stuff. I'm good 90 pages off of finishing The Way of Kings, which is the first book in the Stormlight saga, which...
I just literally, see, as a person that has never heard any of this, it sounds like you could put that in any sitcom and it would just be the fake fantasy series of the... Yeah.
It's good. It's
really good. I bet you it is. Yeah, there's a lot of really good...
It's just the fact that, like, he has several series of books and they all link into each other, and they're... Probably is a preferred reading order, but
first you have to read the Dark Tower 1, then you read it, then you read.
Yeah, so it's kind of that sort of thing. But I read all the Mistborn stuff and then moved on to the newer era Mistborn stuff, which was really fucking good. And now I'm on the Stormlight stuff. But now I need to wait for Dave, who apparently may have the book that I need to read for me. Before I can move on to the next stuff, despite owning them all. So
don't wait for Dave.
Yeah, I know. Like that's pretty much what I've been up to.
Yeah.
Trying to think if I saw any movies since the last time. We went. Trez and I went to see The Nun. It's a very expensive-looking horror movie, but it's not. It's not very good.
Not very good.
Nah.
I went to see Old Boy. Can't really complain about that.
Yeah, you said.
Not on the podcast, dickhead.
No, but to me you did. But,
I know. I was with you when I was on Mandy.
It's a fucked up movie.
Oh, but yeah, Old Boy. 3 people. It was 3 and 3. 3 had seen it, 3 hadn't. So that's a fun mix to go and see that movie with. So
3 people were scarred coming out of that then.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay.
Then we went to Taco Bell. Fuck. I want Taco Bell now.
Have you had Korean fried chicken yet?
Nope.
You go get Korean fried chicken.
Not a big fan of bone-in chicken.
So neither am I. I can't fucking... I am a boneless person through and through, but Korean fried chicken... It's...
Boneless Mark.
I know, but Korean fried chicken is the fucking best.
I'll see if I can get there soon. Maybe we can go, Mark.
Yeah, we probably should.
I've been watching a lot of Big Mouth.
I've seen advertisements for that. Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best show, basically. It's about people, kids just hitting puberty, and it is really raw and really honest and absolutely fucking hilarious. Yeah, it's a really, really amazing show. It's the funniest thing I've seen in quite a while.
Okay.
And it's by Nick Kroll. The douche from Parks and Rec.
Okay. I haven't seen Parks and Rec, so
Oh
I'll take note of that.
Jesus! Watch Parks and Rec. What are you doing with your life?
Well, Trey started watching it without me, and then was like, "There's no point in including you in this because I'm already this far through." So
You
was like,
you have your own eyeballs.
I know.
Go watch Parks and Rec. But yeah, and also watch Big Mouth. It's just excellent. It hurts so much how close a lot of it hits, like cuts to the bone. But yeah, there's never. It's an amazing thing because it should be like this should be shown to kids going through puberty, but there's a lot of stuff they really shouldn't see in that program.
Yeah, probably. I'd imagine, judging from the few clips that I've seen of it.
Yeah, there are several up close shots of the main character's genitalia, and then later on in this the first season, they discuss whether that kind of thing would be considered pornography, but of course not, because it's animated. So it's a lot of meta stuff as well, which really the first couple didn't hit well with me, those kind of jokes, and then they really hit their stride. But no, it's an unbelievable show.
Okay.
I watched the first few episodes of Haunting in Hill House.
Yeah, Therese finished that. Said it was really fucking good.
So. It's really fucking good so far. It's ridiculously good so far because all of the characters are excellently written. Yeah, I can't recommend that show enough for anyone that likes drama or horror or Mike Flanagan. I love Mike Flanagan. You seen any of his other stuff? Ouija: Origin of Evil, which is an excellent movie. The dad for the back in time dad in Hill House plays is in that. Actually, I think so is one of the daughters. He did Hush.
What one's Hush? Is that the one with
the deaf woman in the?
Yeah, no, I've seen that. That's a good movie.
Yep, you should watch Ouija: Origin of Evil. It's weird that it got attached to, that it's this franchise movie, but it is its own separate thing. And apart from one scene at the the post credit scene, it doesn't tie into the other movies. Okay. It's a Ouija board, but the actual story and how that plays out is absolutely fantastic.
Not a Waluigi board, then, just a
just a Ouija board.
That's what it spells out, just constantly.
Yeah. Never in a graveyard. So yeah, you should look up Mike Flanagan's work and watch it all. I also watched a movie a wee while ago now called A Dark Song.
Okay.
I can't remember. I might have talked about this in the last podcast.
Doesn't sound familiar.
It's about a woman who hires this very abrasive, like horrible guy to help her perform a ritual. And at the end of the ritual, they both get one wish. And it is a months long, basically a demonic summoning, but it's not like, you draw a circle and it appears. It is a literal months long process where they have to barricade themselves within this house and perform different sort of rites. And it's a horror movie, but for the first like 40 minutes, it's this gripping character study of these two people like living together. It's a first time director, and when you look at some of the shots and just it's unbelievably well done for a first time director. Yeah, you should look it up.
Did you see Hereditary?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I totally get why you don't like the last 5 minutes. I 100% get why you don't. I'm fine with it. I don't give a shit.
But you see the point. You see the point where the cinema eyes went. Huh.
Is it this part?
Yes. And then this part.
Everything that precedes. Yeah, that is. I like that. That moves good. I totally get why you don't like the 5 minutes. That is a totally valid justification. I love the last 5 minutes. It goes fucking balls to the wall mental. And one more movie I want to talk about is Upgrade. I saw. It stars Logan Marshall Green, who you might know as fake Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Who after a mugging gets left paralyzed from the neck down and gets implanted with a chip that can use his brain to control his body again. But then the chip starts talking back to him, and they try and solve his mugging together. Yeah, no, it's actually
a buddy comedy.
No, it's there's some really good like humorous moments in it, but it's a pretty cool like action thriller. Again, really good use of there's a scene where he takes over. He asks the chip, the voice, to take over his body, and he's just so, because this guy's fighting him, and he's just so confused of just like watching his limbs. And Logan Marshall Green does a great job of making it seem like he's not the one in control of his body, and the camera work as well does a great job of like, you know, aiding that. So it's I've watched a little string of like these indie like gems, really, like these movies that I've really loved. But let's get onto the real meat, Mark. We played Super Mario Party together.
We did played inverted commas Super Mario Party.
We played Super Mario
We endured
2 games.
Super Mario Party. Yeah.
40 turns, Mark.
That's fell asleep during one of the games.
Yeah, no, it was hilarious. She was so angry when you said, "Are you asleep?" No. Fuck off. Still won.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
I don't know what that tells you.
I really enjoyed that game. Salt was thrown. Genuine, yeah. I got real salty, but fuck me. But then again, you tried to get me as salty as possible.
It was revenge from the previous game.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It's well made. I feel the minigames are actually fun. Obviously some more than others. But yeah, it is Mario Party, but I really like it on the Switch. I really like how easy it is. It's weird that if you have any sort of 2 Joy-Con controller attached to that thing while Mario Party is on, it's like, no, sort your controllers out and get back to me. No, I won't. It literally won't let you do anything in the game.
Those trainers, mate. No,
unless you have the little.
Yep.
I like Mario Party. We unlocked the 30-turn mode, or the
board with 30 turns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you unlock the other characters? Because there were 2 character spaces that were not filled.
Nah, not yet.
Really?
I've not played it since.
Yeah, but still, like, even just taking into account what you had played up to that point, that is a significant amount of Mario Party.
That's only 3 games.
Yeah.
What you think? Yeah, you think? Yeah. Mark, that is only 10 turns more than one regular game of Mario Party.
The fucking bomb thing. I was this. So for the people at
Oh, that's
home,
such good.
I was building a coin empire because I was nowhere near the star, and then there's the bomb that goes off and literally takes half your coins.
King Bomb.
Yep.
Yeah. And you got caught by it, what, 3 times?
Yep. And then
Yeah,
and then I had my coin stolen at the end because why should Mark get to buy a star at the end of the last game? Because somehow the algorithm that they put in place for whoever's in fourth, they say is going to win.
Mark, what do you mean Mark's not allowed to buy a star? I believe there were, what, 15 stars on the board before I got one?
Yeah, that was the second game.
Yeah, that second game was rough for me.
Yep.
And you proceeded to make it rougher.
The best part was if you hadn't mentioned that I could have steal a star from you, I was just going to steal coins.
Try to help you. That's what I get. Never do it again. I've also been playing Spider-Man.
Yes, I too have been playing Spider-Man Arkham Asylum.
That game's great. That game's really good. It is a very well done Spider-Man game. What? I saw your face.
So
I know this is audio, but whatever.
Yeah. So yes, I agree. I think the swinging feels the swinging's terrible. The swinging feels really good, especially when you get some of those upgrades to like springboard off stuff when you zip to it and general speed. The one thing that I think lets the game down though is the side quests, specifically the collectathon side quests.
Yeah, it's not the side quests that are the issue.
No, the actual mission side quests
are fine. I like the photo one is fine.
So did you know there are like 50 secret photo locations in that game?
Yeah. It's the last suit power you unlock. Not suit power, suit. Do you get the 3 equipables?
Oh, does it tell you where they are?
Yeah, they appear on your map as your mini map as you're swinging back.
Wow!
You don't need them for anything.
No, there's one that's a trophy. There's one that's a trophy, but
is there?
That's a yes.
Damn. But they don't give you landmark tokens. They tend to be things like just other landmarks in the city, as well as graffiti or Easter eggs. So it's fine. Like, do you know, it's not the end of the world to have that there. Yeah, it's the collectathon. I mean,
for me though, it's more than that. It's the way that those things are doled out is like incredibly unnatural. It's basically like a paint by numbers side quest thing where with the exception of 2 varieties of them, like they are all pretty much go to this place, do the same thing across the map.
Oh, so, yeah.
Like that's
but even then the way the actual collectibles and side not quests are doled out in the sense of like backpacks are so early in the game. I look back and I'm going, I used to collect backpacks in this game? Like, really?
So the DLC adds more stuff.
Yeah.
Try to start.
Oh, by the way, I'm about 2 missions away from the. I think about 2 story missions away from the end of the game.
Okay.
I have done everything else.
So yeah, I am just past the first major story beat at outside City Hall.
Okay, you're quite early.
I have literally done everything up to that point.
But you have so much more to do.
Yeah, I know.
So much.
I know. I've seen exactly how much I've got left to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I think the reason it gets away with it is because it is so fun. You can ignore a lot of that stuff if you want. It doesn't get you that much. You can, suits aren't actually important to the progress of the game.
I've been sitting with the same default suit and just adjusting powers and stuff.
I really like. There's one you get later that's like an armored suit. That looks very similar to the. So I never actually used the upgraded suit. I don't like the white. I really don't like the white on it. So I use the classic suit, and then there's like an armored version of the classic suit, and I've been using that. I sometimes change it just when I'm fighting or doing stealth missions just for the funsies, but you can see all the costumes even before you unlock them. Like if it's just for that, like. But you can avoid, if you want to upgrade stuff, then maybe, you need to fight some crimes and collect some backpacks. But at the end, I realized I hadn't upgraded half my gadgets, and I use a lot of my gadgets. I really do switch around with them, and but the upgrades, I was like, oh shit, I should probably just unlock the rest of these just so they're done. Like, it never hindered me in any way to not have them fully upgraded.
Yep. And the drones are the most overpowered thing in the entire game.
Oh Jesus, it's ridiculous. Because I think they also get your buffs. So like if you've got the thing of like you deal extra damage above 100 health, they deal extra damage when you're above 100.
And there's no like restriction of you can only fire out one at a time. You just fire out like all four of them, and then you're just like, yep.
And then you pop Spider Bro out as well, and it's because that's melting.
That's how you do those combat challenges. You just fire those out, and then you do it in like half the time.
I actually really enjoyed the combat, all the Taskmaster challenges. I felt that
the weird thing is, for those, you do not need to get golds in all of them for the platinum.
Oh, really? It's just for the. Is there a trophy for unlocking all suits?
Yes.
You
don't need all the challenge tokens for that though.
Fair
so
enough.
You don't need to get that. But there is a Union Jack suit in the DLC, which was odd. But
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's enjoyable.
That story's very well done. I like the fact that they've given Peter Parker a past and Spider-Man a past. They make that world feel like it's been going on a while, without making you feel like you have to be caught up with everything, which is the fear that every single superhero media has. Is like, no, they might not know who Spider-Man is and who Electro is and who no, it's like, no, you just fucking go, like, we'll figure it out. No, that story actually takes some twists and turns in really interesting ways, and the voice acting's so well done. Characterization really just, it's
a lot of inspiration from Batman in that one. A lot of inspiration from like the Scarecrow set pieces.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like I honestly could have done without the kind of Scarecrow set pieces.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, it's too nail in the head. For that.
It's been done.
It's not that it's been done. It's that you're going to get those. I know that like it's a cheap criticism. But if you know that, like, I know that that's been done before by Batman, and you know you're going to get those comparisons anyway. Like, there's enough in this game to give credit on its own merits, that you didn't really need the tortured Spider-Man drug trip.
Yeah.
But no, I genuinely enjoyed myself with it. The more I listen to J. Jonah Jameson's podcast, the more I absolutely adore it, because especially as that game progresses, he is not always wrong. Like, he is a crazy asshole, but there are some ones where he's genuinely sweet and like things like that, and it's weird, but so well written, because he is this super, like, he's obviously a parody of certain people
that are no longer on those platforms.
But they actually make it. He isn't that, like, he's not just a parody. Like, obviously, they're using him to lampoon that, but that's not the be all and end all of what his involvement in the game is.
So I thought it was super surprising that he wasn't in the game.
He is,
like, in person.
Oh well. I think it's perfect for what I think it's perfect for what his character is, for what the world and that world is. And yeah, no, I think it's a really, really smart way to do J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Because J. Jonah Jameson would obviously start some crazy conspiracy theorist anti-Spider-Man podcast. That is 100% what would happen in 2018.
He's wearing a horse head mask, and then underneath that mask, there's like a lizard mask, and he's talking about how he's been removed from Facebook. And
that's the Lizards podcast. No, yeah, it's an excellent game.
It's really clearly is. It shows like from top to toe that it's clearly made by people who really like Spider-Man. So
yeah, who really it's they respect their source material and what they can do with it. I am interested to see how this story ends, and I'm interested to see what the future of that series is, because
ends if you want.
I'm interested to see the future of the series, both in terms of like they've done a great job, but if they released Spider-Man 2 and it was just more of this, I'd be disappointed. Like if it was more, hey, you missed some backpacks last time.
No, that's the DLC.
Yeah, but exactly, but that's fine. That's DLC.
Yeah.
Like if you want to add a couple more because the one thing I did like about backpacks was every time you pick one up, you got a little bit extra into that world. You know, it's not the best way to deliver that information, but there were some that were interesting. You know, oh, it was my pass from my first day when I interned at Oscorp, but then stuff like that. But if I go and it's instead of backpacks, it's his satchel bags from like college instead. Like,
but he didn't win an infinite supply of those. He won an infinite supply of backpacks.
That's a fucking great line. That's a fucking yep. They do the cheesy Spider-Man humor and they do the genuinely good Spider-Man humor, and they manage to nail them both. Because Spider-Man has some great lines. And I want to see more Tombstone.
I've not got to that point yet. So.
I will say that they do a lot with a little.
Okay.
With that character, and made me really want him to come back and like be in future. So spoiler, he doesn't die.
Yeah. But also, it's gonna be interesting. So I've seen the end of the game, and it sets up some really. I don't want to use the word interesting because it's too. It's you can see where they're gonna go next. In terms of.
So how much do you know? Like, because if you know, I mean, I don't know the ending.
So I've watched the ending play.
Right. Okay. So because there's a few twists throughout the game that I think the ending will like you'll now know because of the ending. Which I feel were really well delivered. Because despite their obvious setup, were not executed in the way I thought they were going to be executed.
Is one of those Europe?
One of those is Europe. And one of those is Doc Ock. I mean, it's the most obvious. It's the most obvious one. Like, you know, you can see they lay the groundwork all the way through that, but when it actually comes to executing that, it blew me. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect the way they did it.
So it was kind of weird because obviously I watched Therese play through it and she really enjoyed it, and so watching that and watching this parts that they showed at E3 this year with like the Sinister Six showing up, I was like, this is really late on in the game.
It's not. It's really not. I mean, if you're just
in terms of story, it is, because there's not that many story missions after that left.
There's quite a few. It's probably about the halfway mark story.
Not if you've done all the side quests up to that point.
Nah, I'm just meaning story wise. It's probably about halfway. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, they need to develop it more. They need to like actually figure out what they want to do to make this.
I think so. Judging what they set up, I think I can see where they're going to take. It'd be incredibly brave if they take it in the direction that they're going to take it. I think almost like dark middle chapter sort of thing potentially. But
we're getting our Spider-Man 3 and Spider-Man 2.
No, well, Oh, you mean like
dark?
We don't want the Tobey Maguire dark thing, but no, like they throw some stuff in at the end of the credits, and there's stuff just before that anyway. I'm assuming you've seen the spider part.
Yeah, I think I know what bit you're talking about. Yeah. If like I was thinking that at that time, and I was like, if they take it this way, fucking nuts.
Yeah,
and
so
that's totally on board.
That's what I think might happen in the second one.
Totally on board,
yeah.
And you'll see more of that. Of why that would be interesting set up as like because I feel you're super early in that story for what just happened. That stuff will get even more interesting as you see that develop. Yeah, so Spider-Man's great. Will we move on to? Were you playing anything else?
I watched Trez play through the entirety of Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
That new one?
That's the new one. That's the Eidos Montreal. Not Crystal Dynamics because they're working on Avengers game. So from everything that was expressed during the playthrough of that, that game doesn't seem that great. You can definitely tell it's a new team on an existing franchise and tech that they aren't used to.
Is it Origins? Is it Arkham? Is it Arkham Origins?
Yeah, it's a pretty good comparison.
Is it that bad?
Yeah. So the voice acting, the writing, the delivery of lines is, especially from Lara herself, are just awful. It's like it's not so the game looks really nice. It looks really nice, but there are things that just continuously knock you out of the moment. So we like the last two big releases obviously have been like God of War and Spider-Man, and one of those things that those games have going for them is the sound design in those games is fucking incredible.
It is.
So like they take into account like so Spider-Man, for example, like there are two variations of lines whenever Peter Parker is talking. One is like when he is not swinging and it sounds normal, and one is like when he is exerting because he is running, or when he is swinging. And this it just straight up just sounds like Lara's in the studio the entire time, and regardless of what's happening, from like shooting a gun or underwater or anything like that, the lines come through crisp as fuck, and you're like, she's in the middle of a cave. Why is there not like echoes and stuff?
It's one of the big things now that voice acting has come further and further, that these things are less forgivable.
And it's weird as well because you start to make all these like as you have done for the entirety of this trilogy, you make comparisons to what Naughty Dog has done, because those two games are very much comparable. And like,
hasn't Uncharted 4 come out since the last?
There have been two Uncharted since then. Uncharted 4 and the Lost Legacy. And one of the big things that Naughty Dog did was they spent a lot of money and a lot of time of looking at animations and how animations link together. Tomb Raider doesn't have any of that.
Sand, man. We just went out and filmed that sand.
Yeah. But like the linking of animations from like jumping from one thing to another, so it looks like fluid, so it looks like a human motion, as opposed to like, here's where this animation clearly starts and stops, and then it breaks, and then it moves into the other one.
Not to keep coming back to it, but the animation in Spider-Man is excellent.
Yeah,
every single movement looks like it comes out the last movement, regardless of what it is. perfectly. Even when you're starting, like when you start really stringing together the moves and fights, you unlock that double finisher later on. And even stuff like that, when you're just like hammering, trying to get that next guy, it just makes it look so fluid, so natural.
Yeah, so in a direct comparison to what you just said, there is a double finisher in Tomb Raider, where if you are stealth, you can kill a guy and then you can chain to the next guy. So Assassin's Creed did that as well, in that you would pick up the guy's weapon and you would just throw at the other guy and it would immediately kill him. Nah, not in this. You just kind of blink towards the other guy and just stab him. The game has a real herky-jerky look to it.
Yeah.
In terms of combat, and you know, it's just not there compared to the other ones. That was the big thing that tries to take away from it, was like she really enjoyed the last one. Was that Rise of the Tomb Raider, the one with Jesus?
Rise of the Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yep. And this one just kind of didn't hit the quality mark from the last one. And you know, it's and as you said, since then there have been 2 Uncharted games, and that just kind of makes those niggles and problems even more prominent. There's underwater stealth in this game where you hide in plants underwater to avoid piranhas, which I'm fairly sure wouldn't work.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it's
like, are you bleeding?
You're Tomb Raider. You're always bleeding.
You're Tomb Raider. That should be the tagline. You're always bleeding.
Yeah. And you know, it's got that thing of she runs over a thing, it collapses, and then she slides, and then jumps to another thing, and like that's yeah. So it's kind of like they took all their inspiration from Uncharted 2 and then kind of didn't really iterate on it, which is kind of disappointing, because especially given that studio's chops of like they did Human Revolution and they did Mankind Divided, and now they don't have that IP to work on anymore. So here's Tomb Raider instead. But yeah, looks really nice. But in terms of, that's before you can get into the story as well. The story's just bare bones. Like, they try and set up this redemptive arc of like, well, maybe she's not just out for treasure hunting, and then she steals like the Spear of Damocles and gets a lot of people killed, and then doesn't really seem to give a fuck. So, you know, it's white savior of the game, really. But yeah, aside from that, I've been playing Minecraft Windows 10 Edition. Because I found out you can get achievements in that. So while that is my chill out game, I've been, you know, getting some achievements and
getting those chivos. But
like, the game seems to run like 1,000,000 times better than the regular version of Minecraft. Like, there's no performance hit or anything when like you're going miles away from your base camp or wherever, and like they seem to be super generous with materials compared to the regular version as well, which is fine.
Yeah.
And you know, that game's got like built-in cross-play multiplayer, so you can play it with like Xbox, Switch. But apart from that, a bit more Dead Cells, but that's really about it.
Dead Cells is a fucking good game.
Dead Cells is one of my favorite games of this year. So,
take it neither of us have played Red Dead then?
No. There may be a copy here, but it ain't getting open until the 18th. So. Oh, did you buy it? I thought you said you weren't buying it.
I'm not. Donnie bought it.
I hope the game wasn't in that.
No, it's in there. So it's a 2-disc game?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, one's the data disc and one's the actual game disc. So on top of that, for the Xbox One X version, there's also like a 4K texture pack to that as well. So I think the overall space you need is like 150 gig on Xbox One X, which is
ridiculous. Yeah, so he was up until like 4 a.m. playing it.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, have you?
Well, no.
I've heard this game's going to cure all diseases except for overworking.
So should we jump straight to the news then?
But hey, overtime isn't mandatory. Yeah, let's go into news. Mark, what have you got for me? News. It's my new news theme, by the way. I wrote it, and the weeks that's what I've been doing, and the weeks we've been off is that news.
Every time, like in his article.
News.
So he said when Darren sent the Luke Cage thing through.
Yep. Yeah, I do. I do it whenever any of you. Whenever I hear new information. What wines have you got tonight? We have the Chateau Leblanc. News. And next.
Yeah. So on the back of Red Dead being released, there have been a lot of articles recently about crunch in the games industry and working conditions, and one of the more prominent offenders of that was Rockstar, which I think has been known to everyone in Scotland for decades now. I've heard stories from people who know people who work at Rockstar, and it's never painted a good picture. But
I mean, even if you are whether you're in or out of Scotland, Rockstar's bad work practices, will we call them, have been known for a while.
Yep. And Jason Schreier over at Kotaku put together a pretty long article outlining some of those, some positive, some negative. The negative ones line up pretty much with what I had heard. I've also heard pretty terrible things about the Rockstar over at India, which, funnily enough, no one is able to get an interview out of. Because I think, was it The Verge? We're talking to some guy over there who then subsequently deleted his Twitter account. So if you think it's bad here, I've heard a hell of a lot worse going on over there. So yeah, like stories of 80 hours to 100-hour weeks, like mandatory overtime. You have to come in Saturday, Sunday. So back when GTA 4 Red Dead was being developed, I'd heard stories of people working 24-hour shifts.
Jesus.
And that was QA. So like that was the norm back then. I've heard they had it slightly easier with Red Dead 2. I've heard like some people say that this was the easiest they've had it over in that office over in Edinburgh. But whether or not they just kind of pushed those toxic behaviors out to like the Lincoln one, the Leeds one, I don't know. Like I've heard bad things from San Diego. Obviously, a few years ago there was the letters put out by the wives of the employees of Rockstar saying that they wanted their husbands back. But you know, the Hauser brothers have always kind of been shit merchants from day one. So
yeah, and there have been stories on the other side as well with people coming out saying, you know, that it's not as bad as it used to. It's not as extreme as it used to. It's now slight overtime, but then again, you know, this was not a Rockstar North. This was not a Rockstar India. This was Rockstar Studios. This was all of them working together to make one game. Like that is a lot of people. I'm sure there are plenty of people who had a great time working on this game, went in, did their job, and you know, only had to put in small amounts, but that is not obviously the story for everyone that works across that company.
And you know, you've got to kind of approach the super positive stuff with some level of cynicism anyway, given what the interviews that were going about in the press, and then Rockstar having to take that internally and say, you can go out and say whatever your stories are, but obviously the underlying threat of, be a shame if something were to happen to you and you said something.
Yeah, it's the retaliation of it is the problem. But I'm sure more of that will be coming out in the next wee while.
But you know, what do you do in that situation? Do you boycott the game and potentially lose those people their bonus, which would, rather than being paid overtime, is what they would get instead? Or do you buy the game and just be more vocal about it? Do you, like push those guys to unionize? Like
I mean, yes. I mean, that one, yes.
There needs to be change. I think Ubisoft came out and said that Odyssey was their first Assassin's Creed to be made without crunch. So those sorts of things need to change. EA are notorious for doing that sort of shit as well. I think most big studios are. But it's one of those things. Like a video game doesn't come together until like the last 2 months of development normally. And that's when you start to see where the issues lie and what needs fixing and
true colors and all that.
Yeah, so I guess work management needs to change, or like the way that things are developed needs to be changed. But people are people, not robots that can work 24 hours around the clock.
They're game factories, Mark.
Yeah.
I've been thinking of changing my name on PS4 for the last 10 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Tell me why that might be
problematic.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just for the beta where these problems are going to go forward, but like, so PlayStation Insider members right now can test out the change your PSN ID name feature, which should have been in there from day one. But yeah, there are a few issues in that.
Not if they were like this.
Yeah, there are a few issues in that. Like a lot of multiplayer PS3 games will not support the move over, so you may lose functionality with that. You may lose some trophies. You may lose your PSN wallet. Any potential purchases. It seems
virtual currency in games, so like free to play. And yeah, it's not just on PS3. It's PS3, PS Vita, and PS4. Yeah.
It seems like a shit show.
And also, it might not change your ID for everyone else, which is my favorite one.
You know that thing that you want to do?
Yeah. No. You'll know. It'll be your secret between you and Sony. We changed your name. They all think you're called something else, that old name. But we know your real name, right? Steve112?
Naruto 420 XX.
Yeah, he saw that was freed up after having Naruto 420 XXX. He felt the XXX was just inappropriate.
Yeah. It's just Come on, guys. What were you doing? Like, I know get Larry the intern in. He'll set up a PSN. That's the best way to do it.
I've been looking at Fallout 76 and just what an absolute shit show this seems to be.
In what way? In the fact that they had to release a note to fans saying that the game might have some pretty severe fucking bugs on its launch?
That they're basically I think we've actually hit the point where a AAA studio is about to hit to release a full priced alpha.
Didn't Fortnite do that? Oh no, that was free.
No, Fortnite's free. Yeah. No, it made money, Mark.
What about PlayStation Home?
That was also free.
That was also free.
These are terrible examples.
Yeah,
Mark.
I'm trying to think. There must be something.
World of Warcraft went through extensive beta.
It's true. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd like to say it's the first time I've seen a letter of. It wasn't even an apology letter either.
Yeah,
though. It was just kind of like
an apology letter.
Listen, you and me, you're a fan of our stuff.
Exactly.
You know how our games roll.
That's the problem with this. It's you know how this works. Like, I know that this is shady as shit, but you've played a Bethesda game before, so now we're just being open about it. No, just fix your games first.
The first thing you see is a guy's head spinning. That's a feature. That's not a bug. That's
It is a
exactly what you
feature.
want.
It's a feature. He's our head spinning android. Let's change the texture on him.
His head spinning. How awesome the game is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like. So yeah. So the full statement is usually after years of development, we finally release the game, and take a break. With 76, we feel we have not finished, but reached a starting line where all new work begins. We all know that with the scale of our games and the systems we let you use, the unforeseen bugs and issues always come up. Given what we're going with 76, we know we're opening everyone up to all new spectacular issues none of us have encountered. Other issues we surely don't. We need your help finding them and advice on what's important to fix. We'll address all of it now and after launch.
So you think this came about because Bethesda publishes its own stuff, so they had deals with retail in place? Because normally in this situation, you would just release it as a paid beta or something, and then be like, "Game's not finished, but you guys will make it what it is." You know.
There was a paid beta. It's called Pre-Order the Game, and you get our beta.
Yeah, so that was on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Those sessions were this week. I think after the first days when this came out. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I think they lost a lot of people on the Fallout thing when they're like, "Hey, it's an always online. There's no such thing as an NPC in this." So I don't know how this shit will fly. But they've also said that the next Elder Scrolls won't be on this console generation, so I don't know. I don't know.
But they've already shown footage of it, Mark.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
What was the other thing called? The Star something or other? It's not Starlink. That's that weird Ubisoft thing.
Starbound.
Starbound?
Star Wars. Stars. With a Z. They're releasing the Stars Network on Bethesda.
Starfield.
Okay. That probably would have been next in the guessing.
Yep.
Jade Raymond has left EA and EA Motive Studios, which is the one she founded.
Yep. After being shunted to mobile stuff, she left the company.
Yeah, weird that.
It's weird from going from like one of the biggest properties on the planet to then like EA and then nothing after that.
Star Wars 1313 to Star Wars Battlefront to mobile games.
And before that she was on Assassin's Creed. So
Jade Raymond's done. She has worked in a lot of great games.
Yep.
So hopefully she can leave EA and go and work on some great games.
Do EA still make games? I don't.
Sure. FIFA.
I suppose Battlefield 5 is out.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
Microtransactions in Battlefront 2.
That's a game in itself.
Yep.
Coming up is Anthem.
Oh yeah, that's like January.
Respawn are apparently working on a Star Wars game.
Yeah, but that's gonna be. So I think they said they're gonna show it like next year, like later next year. But I don't know.
Sea of Solitude.
Yeah. Okay.
Battlefield 5, Command and Conquer Rivals, and Need for Speed Edge.
Bear in mind, Command and Conquer Rivals is straight up just a mobile game.
Yeah, no, I'm aware. I'm just telling you, these are the 6 games EA has coming up for you.
Because I'm assuming they have to put Battlefront on ice for a while. They have to. There's no
Battlefront 3 coming next year.
They can't do that. Surely to God.
SimCity 2.
Just resurrect Maxis from the dead.
Yeah. Just a Cage will right. You ready for more Oculus, brah?
I never played the first one, so I don't know.
Well, tough because it's cancelled.
Yeah, it's not that it's cancelled. So they have stepped away from the PC tethered
Yeah.
Rifts. So I think Rift 2 was in development, and they have stepped away from it to focus more in line with the Oculus Go, which is kind of an all-in-one hardware solution, which is always going to be a worse experience than using something more powered. But I suppose they have to kind of lower those barriers of entry somehow. VR has not taken off in the way that I thought it would have.
No, it's happened about the way I thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was even expecting more out of Sony at this point, with the fact that they have their own platform for it, and like
they seem to be the ones that are doing the only people that are doing anything with it.
So I think they released their first full game.
Yeah, I'm not saying they've been great. I'm just saying that that's the bar at the moment.
Somebody send James Cameron down to rise up that bar.
Please no. Yeah, it's, I don't know, like VR is fun, but it's a lot of effort, and again, it's just there's not any software for it. So
yeah, everything's kind of reliant on the experience thing. I think there was the game that Sony released in the last couple of weeks with the robot from Playroom, which is kind of supposed to be pretty good in terms of a full game experience, but you know, you when you can experience Skyrim VR or Fallout VR, it's altered experiences as opposed to being their own separate thing. And you know, like I get the approach to developers that they probably don't want to put all their eggs in one basket and just have that one ecosystem and not have that game available to everybody else because it's going to hinder sales. But there needs to be that one killer app in order for people to move across. People keep saying it's going to be Half-Life 3, but I don't know.
Half-Life 3D.
I don't even think that name holds that weight or gravitas anymore.
Oh, it doesn't, like, it holds it with a small subsection of people who are obsessed with that era.
Yep.
Which is ever diminishing. There are much better games than Half-Life 2 now.
Yep.
Much better games.
Half-Life 2 has severe pacing issues anyway, so
yeah. Man, that game did physics pretty good.
Yep. Hey, do you like this water section? Because it's going to go on for a while.
But yeah, it's, yeah. What I want from a Half-Life 3?
They could essentially subdue a lot of those queries just by putting out a text document with like, yeah, here's where the story was going, here's what happened there.
Like they could get Telltale to fuck well. They could have, but you know what I mean. They could release that as a visual novel. Why does it have to be a first-person shooter?
Yep.
If you're just worried about the story.
Dream Daddy set in City 17. That's
Hato football round.
Yep.
And on that note, I think we will be calling it there. Thank you for joining me, Mark.
No worries.
Always good to catch up and talk about the state of video games and movies, because fucking Mandy. I didn't watch that movie again.
Just the grin at the end. You're just like, what's?
It's great. It's great. Yeah. So we will try and get one going soon.
Regularity.
Yeah, regularity. We'll start feeding the podcast bran muffins.
Okay. Yep.
And we will see you all next time. Bye.